Today, I want to make an essence that I can put into other whiskey to make it taste better or just different. So here's the deal, team. I love brown spirits, especially whiskey. And I've had this idea rolling around in my head a while to make an essence for two reasons. One, to either just straight up make whiskeys or aged spirits better, but if it can't make it better, maybe it can make it different. And that means if I have an essence that can make spirits different, I basically double all the spirits I've got laying around. So I'm going to make a smoky essence, something that is so smoky that I can put a teeny tiny little bit into a whole glass or a whole bottle of whiskey, so it doesn't ruin the whiskey or change the whiskey entirely, it just adds smoke to it, making it better, or giving me 2 bottles of this bourbon, effectively. All right, we're ready to mash in. I have my mash tun here full with a little over 40 litres, 11 gallons of water, which the controller is holding at 68 degrees Celsius. As soon as the grain goes in, I will set the controller to 65 degrees Celsius. I've got all the grain already crushed in here, and because we're trying to make like a smoky essence, most of this grain is smoked. So 11.5 kilos of Manuka smoked barley, along with 2 kilos of Shepherd's Delight. That's the darker stuff that you see in the pot. And this it has a really interesting dark fruit, almost like molasses and dried plums, figs, dates kind of vibe. I like that for this, and 1.5 kilos of oats, just because this is pretty much going to be used straight off the still and into a whiskey. Barley, when it's not aged with oak, can be a little bit on the intense side, so the oats are going to help smooth that out. All right, let's start mashing, shall we? Like always, sprinkling the grain in and keeping the mash itself moving so the grain can't clump up and form dough balls. I know it sounds kind of crazy if you haven't done this before, but if you dump this in quick, a big chunk of grain can go in, get wet on the outside, and it actually stops any of the liquid getting into the center. So you can get dough balls that are completely dry on the inside. Any of that grain that is dry, we're not really mashing it, it's just a waste. So especially when we're doing a thicker mash like this, it's a good idea to take your time, sprinkle it in, keep it moving so that doesn't happen. That is the last of the grain. This mash is looking a little bit thick, but we've got space, we've got headroom in the mash tun. So always a good idea to have hot water on hand whenever you're doing anything like this for distilling. Luckily I do. I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe another 5 litres of water in here just to thin it up a little bit, make the mash slightly more efficient, easier to work with. And then we can put it to rest. I'm going to do 20 minutes. So 20 minutes, stir. I can't use the pump for this because it's 110 volts only. So pull some mash out of the side, tip it into the top, give it a good stir. I'll do that every 20 minutes, and I'm going to mash for 1 hour 20 today. All right. That has been a little bit over 1 hour now. Remember to turn the power off so I don't dry boil the element as we empty this out. Give her a wee stir. And I am just going to stick the fermenter directly under this mash tun and drain it out. First runnings at 1086. Time to spudge with some hot water so we're not wasting all that sugary goodness soaked up in the grain. Second runnings after the spudge is 1055. We'll keep all of that. Let the wash cool to 30 degrees Celsius. Blitz for a little oxygen and pitch yeast. I'm using AM1. ZBiotics pre-alcohol drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to help tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's responsible for making you feel rough the next morning. Pre-alcohol creates an enzyme to help break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics the first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next morning. Click the link in the description to get 15% off at checkout with a no questions asked money back guarantee. This wash fermented out relatively quickly in 4 days. I let it go for another day just to develop a little bit of acid, maybe get a little bit more flavor out of it. I've put roughly half the wash into the pot. I have the all-rounder still set up in pot still mode, and we're just running a stripping run. Plan is to strip this out down to about probably under 5%, and then we'll add this back into the rest of the wash and distill it with 1, maybe 2 plates. I'll see how I'm feeling when I get there. So now I've emptied out the pot from the stripping run, got the rest of the wash along with the low wines from our half stripping run. Back into the pot, we're set up with 2 plates and a reflux condenser running at the moment. We've just started getting first drips after balancing the column out for a little while. So the plan is to collect 4 shots, get those out of here, move on to collecting heads, and then we can look at collecting hearts. I believe I have found the cut point. We're ready to switch over. This is probably still heads, but this is now definitely hearts. Let me just sanity check this. Yep. And am I keeping this? No, I don't think I am. All right, we're good. Into hearts, let's run this out. It's gonna take a while, not too long. Relatively large run, but not crazy big. And in fact, I'm gonna bump the power up a smidge, make it go a little bit faster, because we've got a decent amount of distillation on this. So the way I think about this is kind of in units of pot distillation, I guess. We have a half distillation from the stripping runs we did because we only distilled half of the wash. We're now getting another whole distillation in the pot down below because it's up till here, it's a pot distillation. And then we're getting extra distillation from the plates, which isn't a full distillation each. It's probably a little bit more than half, not quite a whole each. Let's say half for the sake of maths here. So we have a half from the stripping run, a whole from the pot now, that's 1.5, and we'll say another whole from the 2 plates. So we're at about 2.5 distillations on this run, somewhere between double pot distillation and triple pot distillation. Exactly where is irrelevant. That just gives you an idea of how clean this is gonna be. We are getting down near 2 tails. I'm making this call a little bit earlier than I normally would, because remember, this isn't really going to be aged. It's an essence to put into other things. And I could age it, of course, but I kind of just want to use it now. So at the moment, we're just starting to hit that kind of level where I would normally keep it for aging. It's starting to get a little bit more grungy, that real like grainy, dusty, intense grain flavor is starting to come through now. This is the last bit that I kept off the still. Totally happy to keep this. It's got more of that dark dried fruit flavor from the Shepherd's Delight. So here's my hearts, we'll put that in. But I think tasting this, delicious if it's going into a barrel for years, probably not ideal for this purpose. If you like the look of the still I'm using in this video, it's called the All-Rounder Still. You can use it as a bubble plate reflux still, a pot still, and a straight up like vodka column packed still as well. It's available at chasethecraft.com only in America at the moment, sorry team. What is available everywhere are the maturation sticks, the Glencans, the coins, and the yeast. There's a bunch of other stuff as well. Check it out at chasethecraft.com. I have proofed this Essence Spirit down to 60% ABV. And I also took 2 samples, separated them out, found some Manuka wood, same wood as the smoke on the grain, that's been out in the yard getting wet for literally years. Cut some chunks off it and popped 2 different samples into the oven, one at 170 degrees Celsius for 2.5 hours, one at 210 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. Gave the sticks a light little charring on 2 of their sides, popped them into swing top jars and into a sous vide setup at 48 degrees Celsius for 10 hours. And these are the results. Lots of nice color there and a decent amount of flavor already as well. Let's have a quick taste before actually trying this for the intended purpose, which is to put into other spirits. White first. So smoky. Yeah, very, very smoky. Surprisingly enough, I'm actually picking up the Shepherd's Delight, that dried fruit flavor through the smoke. It's actually pretty smooth. The oats are doing their job there. All right, let's try the with the Manuka wood at 170. Interesting. Wow, it really smells like Manuka. The 2 different woods are very, very similar. The only difference being that the 210 is a little bit more astringent, but also has a little bit more of like a toasty wood flavor, funnily enough, makes sense. The biggest thing that's really interesting to me is that the wood flavor, the tannin that's coming from the wood and the smoke all tie together. They're very similar. They've got a very similar profile all the way through. This is better as a drink now, but I wonder if it's rounded the smoke out a little bit too much to be used as an essence. So the first spirit that I thought of using this essence with is a bourbon. So we have some 1792 here, straight, little calibration, don't mind if I do. A solid bourbon, delicious. 1 to 10 ratio, so 10 parts the bourbon, 1 part of the straight white smoke. Last time I used this Manuka, well, something similar to this Manuka blend, I was blown away by how little you need to use and it still shows up. Totally shows up on the nose. That's crazy. It's crazy. I need to say huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you, Patreons, for being the people that support us month in, month out. It is very, very appreciated. I need to get sorted to do Q&A 50. We've done 50 of these Q&A things, which is kind of crazy to me. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, it does. Yum. I like that. Can definitely smell it. It's not intense at this concentration. Can definitely taste it. I thought I couldn't for a second until after I'd swallowed, and it kind of, the retronasal, like breathing back out through your nose, caught me, and it came across very campfirey, like sipping bourbon in front of a campfire. That kind of experience. That's nice. Same thing, 1 to 10 ratio, but the 210 degrees Celsius Manuka wood as well. Also quite delicious. The smoke's dialed down and the wood flavor's dialed up. A little bit of extra kind of sweetness and tannin actually works pretty well with this. I'm happy with that. Black Label. I don't know. Is it gonna work? Maybe. We've got 1 to 10 of the white smoke. With this one, I think I'm gonna go with the lighter toast as it's a little bit more of a delicate spirit. Oh, so Black Label is very, very lightly peated. It's a blended scotch, has a little bit of peat in it, Scottish peat, obviously. More smoke in Black Label, I don't mind that. That's actually pretty good. This one is actually better than Black Label. No, I think technically it's worse than Black Label. It's slightly less balanced, but for my personal taste, I'd probably rather drink this than just this straight. I think technically this is more in line with what Black Label's actually trying to do, which is be just like a very balanced, approachable. The wood rounds it out a little bit more. It does add a little bit more tannin, but it adds a little bit more body in a strange way too. Let's do one more. We have rye or rum. Let's do rum. This is the Buccaneer Bob's rum that I made ages ago. And I haven't tasted this in quite some time, so I'm looking forward to that. It's still good. I don't think it's as technically good as I thought it was when I first made it, or maybe I'm just getting pickier, but it is still good. I'm actually gonna put a little bit more smoke. Let's go with 0.8 of a mil, and I'm gonna go with the darker wood for this one too. It's kind of brought it to life on the nose a little. Yum, okay. Okay, that's 100% better than this by itself. And the extra kind of wood toastiness goes very well with the rum. I think I didn't age this version of it quite enough. It's a little on the thin side, so that's beneficial. Both of these are better than the rum by itself, like in every way, shape, and form. They're good. I'm gonna call this a success. I set out to make something that would be strong enough and powerful enough to add in small quantities to other spirits to either improve them or at the very least kind of mix them up and make it something a little bit different. That's exactly what this has done. It worked well in the bourbon and it changed the profile of the bourbon quite considerably. Similar kind of result with the Black Label. Excellent result with my Buccaneer Bob's rum. So I would 100% suggest you try this at home if you're into spirits. And I think this ties in nicely to the whole idea of making ingredients, not making spirits. The same kind of idea as blending. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're just doing it on a glass level, right? Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing blending, but on a glass level. So we're making an ingredient, not a spirit. And remember, team, just because you don't have Manuka doesn't mean you can't do this. Hell, do it with post oak or cherry or pecan. Put your own spin on it. Have a nice ingredient on the shelf to be able to mix together into a cocktail or into a one-off bottle that you blend. Have some fun with it. I'll catch you next time. See ya.